I need to talk about the current epidemic that is overtaking artistry, that is overtaking architecture, that is overtaking fashion, that is overtaking life, and it is boringness. I genuinely feel like I'm probably not alone here when I say that everything is starting to look the same. Disney is literally only putting out nostalgic cash grabs like that they've already done just as like live action. Every single apartment has that terrible fluorescent lighting with that sinister gray laminate tile. Trends are dictating fashion and art, and like now everybody has the same handbag, and like what's everybody wearing now? That is not to say that authenticity does not have a place here. I think most people are actually interesting. I just think a lot of people shroud and closet their interesting aspects of themselves in exchange for an option of just bland normalcy. And I think that not only does a disservice to yourself because it doesn't allow you to be authentic, but it does a disservice for the culture as a whole. Like we're seeing with very monotonous style and art a lot of the times. So today we're going to talk about some tips of how you can be interesting by being your most authentic self. And we're going to go ahead and use some pop cultural icons as reference points because I love pop culture. All of these tips are like very friendly suggestions. They're never tools for you to measure yourself up to. They're just words of insight for you to get the gears rolling in your own mind of how you can kind of maybe implement these things or think about things from that perspective. So let's go ahead and get into it. Honestly, I feel like we're in an empathy deficit culturally right now. We had some wackadoo recently call empathy a sin on Twitter. Like, way to admit you don't have a soul, you freak. We're embracing empathy over here, okay? We're embracing compassion. And you might be wondering, well, how does empathy lead to authenticity? Well, in my opinion, understanding the experiences of others allows for greater storytelling. It allows for greater expression, and it is a form of reflection of your own life. Let's take the movie Flow, for example, which I'm a huge fan of, and I love that Amber's here because it's about a little gray cat. It's such a poetic film. And the reason I bring it up is because it was created by an independent filmmaker. I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm just going to insert it there. This filmmaker was working on a shoestring budget with open source software, like no resources practically. And he created an Oscar-worthy film called Flow that beat out Pixar, it beat out DreamWorks at the Oscars. It won because it was a story of the heart. It was a story of empathy. If you watch that film, you'll see exactly what I mean. There's no dialogue, just the sounds of these animals, just the sounds of the environment, the nature around them. And it tells such a beautifully vivid story because the emotions that these animals feel is real emotion that us as humans feel. And the director, the writer, the genius, he clearly has a great understanding for compassion and empathy. Next step is to radically believe in yourself and self-express. And we're going to talk about 𝐯𝐢𝐝𝐿. 𝐯𝐷𝐻𝐻 is one of my favorite new artists. Oh my God, I'm like obsessed with her. You can watch old clips of her talking about herself and her journey, and you can see she always believed in herself even when she was just first starting.
What are my expectations of myself, of my art, of why I even do what I do? I expect for my projects to be encounters, experiences. That's my standard.
Always believed in herself, and look at where she is now. She just won a Grammy for Best Hip Hop Album. She literally is at Fashion Week doing what she loves to do most. She is blowing up, and well deserved because she's insanely talented. There are so many insanely talented people out there who never get to where she is because they don't believe in themselves. When you have that unshakable belief in yourself, that unshakable knowledge that you are good, that what you say you can do because you can. Your authenticity will come through. 𝐯𝐻𝐻's authenticity comes through in everything that she does, from her fashion to her music. And it comes through because she knows herself, because she believes in herself. She doesn't do things for the validation of others. She does things for the validation of her. She expresses herself unapologetically. She believes in her artistry. She believes in the stories that she can tell. She believes in the words that come out of her mouth. And that is what creates this very interesting, iconic entity that is Doechii.
If the energy's right.
The next step would be to embrace your inner weirdness. And we're talking about my lovely queen, Lady Gaga. I have been a Gaga fan since high school or middle school. I'm like terrible at documenting my life, so I never have images, but I did dress up for her one year from like the telephone music video. So all of that fangirling aside, she was a pop girl, you know, on the heels of like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera, and like nobody was really doing like that interesting of pop stuff. Like you had like what Pink I think was big at the time, and like Gwen Stefani. Even then, like no one was doing it like Gaga. Everybody was calling back to Madonna because she was doing so many innovative things. Gaga was like for a while seen as weird. They would question her femininity. They would call her trans. I can relate. I've been there, and I love the dolls, so I'm never offended. But, you know, when people say that, they're never saying it with good intent. They're always saying it to make you feel like you have to question your femininity. Their intention is to make you feel small. And Lady Gaga's response to those rumors was always so iconic.
There was that rumor that you had a male appendage, that you were a hermaphrodite, and you joked about it on the stage last night.
Maybe I do.
But it's interesting.
Would it be so terrible? Why the hell am I going to waste my time and give a press release about whether or not I have a penis? My fans don't care, and neither do I.
And again, similar to Doechii, when she was first coming up in the game, she always believed in herself.
I always was famous. Just that everybody didn't know it yet.
She always knew she was going to be famous. She always knew she was going to be an icon, and lo and behold, she is. And even when she fails, even when she does things that are not as successful, like Joker 2, she knows how to have humility and like laugh at herself.
Joaquin and I even got nominated for a Razzie, which is an award for the worst films of the year. So we won for worst on-screen duo. But joke's on them. I love winning things.
When you believe in yourself, your failures are just like more information about how you're going to proceed and move forward. When you're authentic to yourself, your failures are just more information about yourself. They're not something to hold you back. When you embrace your weirdness or what makes you unique or what makes you you wholeheartedly, that starts to become just like background noise that doesn't matter. Shame only really matters if you allow it to matter. Next step is to cultivate curiosity and open-mindedness, and we are referencing a fictional character for this one, Samantha Jones from Sex and the City.
You know, that generation is all about sexual experimentation. All the kids are going bi.
So what, if all the bi kids are jumping off a bridge, you gonna do that too?
I'm a trisexual. I'll try anything once.
Samantha Jones is pretty much known as like the fan favorite of Sex and the City. It's not an unpopular opinion that she's like my favorite or the best character out of the show. And why is she so amazing, you may ask? It's because she's open-minded and she's curious about life. She's the most sexually explorative in the show, the most sexually liberated character in the show, and therefore the most unjudgmental, because Samantha does not limit herself to the experiences that are expected of her. She allows herself to experience new, thrilling things. And therefore, when she comes across other people, she's able to say, you know what? Who am I to judge? I'm someone who lives outside of the bounds of societal norms.
Don't you want to judge me just a little bit?
Not my style.
And that makes Samantha a very charismatic, likable person. She's unashamed about being curious and open-minded. And to me, closed-mindedness is literally a turnoff. Like I cannot stand a closed-minded bitch. I get that there are some things that are a little too taboo for you. Like there's some things that I'm not particularly a fan of, but who am I to judge other people? If it's not hurting anybody, if everyone's consenting, and I'm not talking about just sexually, I'm talking about anything, why would I care? Why would it bother me? Why would I allow it to sit on my mind rent-free? I find the most interesting people are people who are open-minded, are people who are willing to understand people who are different than them.
Lately, my monkey mind is turning
Embrace vulnerability. I'm gonna list a few sad pop girls. Mitski, Lana Del Rey, Fiona Apple. I f***ing love Mitski, and I'm not the only one who loves them. You can go on TikTok right now and see thousands upon thousands of women and girls who love these musical artists. So much so that they have entire cult followings around them. Is it because they're sad and somber and these girls are sad and somber? Or is it because they talk about vulnerability in a way that most people are afraid to talk about? Vulnerability is a very, very human trait to have. It is something we all have. We all have it, and the reason we shroud it is because it is a part of us that is literally vulnerable. So when you have these women putting vulnerability at the forefront of who they are and letting you know off the bat that they deal with this level of vulnerability just like you do, you are entranced.
For my own sake, I wanted to express that I am not a dichotomy. I am complex. I am bad and good and neither. And I just needed that for myself, and so I wrote what I needed.
I think when I wrote that song, I was just reflecting on like the sweetness of it, but also the fact that there was something else I was longing for at the same time.
Putting it out there on display for everybody to see, everybody to observe, is a very brave thing to do. And they do it in such a poetically beautiful way where you can tell that they've sat with it, that they've examined it, that they've aimed to understand it. I think it's so powerful to be able to embrace your vulnerability and to let the world know, like, hey, this exists. I'm embracing it. Therefore, you cannot use it against me. I already own it. I own it. That is a really profound thing to do when so many people are afraid to do that. So many people subscribe to the philosophy of it's not that deep, or so many people run from therapy because it makes them feel vulnerable, or they run from accountability because it makes them feel vulnerable. And being a person who embraces vulnerability inherently makes you interesting because literally nobody does it. So many people are terrified of vulnerability. They'll do anything except feel vulnerable. They'll drink every single night except feel vulnerable. They'll go out every night except feel vulnerable. They'll do all of that except allow themselves to feel vulnerable. If you are somebody who chooses to not just feel vulnerable, but embrace the vulnerability, to sit with it, to process it, to move forward with it, and to allow it to inform your artistry, your self-expression, your life expression, you are inherently already different than so many people. And then bonus tip. This is like a surface level tip, which is why I kind of avoided it in this video for the most part, but it is to get hobbies. I know everybody says that, like any video I've ever seen on like how to be an interesting person, it's like, interesting people have hobbies. Like, yeah, no shit. Interesting people have lives. Like, but for real, live your life. Stop scrolling so much on social media. The more you consume, the less you are living, is the way I think about it. And, you know, social media is a great tool for connection. I totally believe that, or even for getting information. But it should not take precedent over you actively living your life by acting, by doing actions, by doing things, anything. Just live your life. Have a hobby. Figure out something that brings you joy and actually do it. The act of doing. Yeah, embracing your authenticity. It's not necessarily an easy process, but it is a worthwhile process. And I hope these tips helped you see that. So thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I hope to see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Bye.